Hey guys, welcome to the sixth session of my Swift course for the beginners. So in this session, what we are going to learn is we are going to learn about classes and structures. So let's see what is a class. So class is nothing but a template to have properties and or methods. So it's just a template, just a body, like what are all the things can a class can have with just a representation of that all the stuffs. So to declare a class in Swift, we have a keyword called class and then class name printer, and so this is the class and the name is a printer, right? So a printer can have properties, right? So let's say let name let model float, right? So when I declare these properties, I'm getting error, right? So class printer has no initializers, which means I have declared these properties are a let constant. So which means that as soon as the class is initialized, these properties won't be updated after that point of time, right? So but since we need to initialize this class, and unfortunately we don't have the constructor for this class yet, so there is no way these properties can be initialized. That's the reason for this error. So what we have to do is we have to go and write a constructor for this class. So in Swift, we write a constructor using the init keyword. So wherever you see this init, which means that that's a constructor for the class or struct, whatever you are using. So here in constructor we need to have three values, right? Name, model, price. So for that, name and then model and then float. And when you want to construct the object for this printer, so you need to pass these three things, and when you pass these three things, assign the incoming value to these properties. So self dot name equal to this received name, self dot model equal to this received model, this one, and then self dot price equal to this received price. Okay, so the reason why we are putting this self is because the property name here and the property name here both are same, right? So you can't just assign like this, because the compiler will get confused about, I mean, which property this one belongs to. So in order to refer to the property which is declared inside this particular class, then you have to refer it as a self, so that self dot name will be pointing to this one, whereas this name will be pointing to this one. Right, so this is how we declare a or we create a class. So as I told you earlier, a class is nothing but a template to hold properties and methods, right? So as of now, this class holding just the properties. But what about the methods? So methods are nothing but behaviors, certain lines of code which does some job. For instance, a printer can have a behavior like a job, right? So a printer can print something. So we can have a method inside the printer like func print message string, and when you pass a message to this printer, what is the job of this one? It will print, it has to print, right? So print message. Okay, so you might get confused about this one, this print and then this print, because I mean, we have a function called print to print something, right? So let's change this one, print message. You are passing a message here and then print the received message. Okay, right. So this is how you used to create a class with properties and methods. So the reason why we are calling this as a method instead of function is a function which is declared inside a class or inside a struct, we call it as a method, whereas a function which is declared outside a class or outside a struct, we call it as a function, right? So we know how to create a class. So this doesn't mean that it does some job, right? Because until you create an object or until you initialize an object for this particular class, this class is nothing. This class is just a template. So how to create an object for an class? So let my printer equal to printer is the class which you are getting here. The C denotes the class, and then you have to initialize it like this. But here we will get error because the printer class has a constructor which needs 3 parameters so that these 3 values like properties can be initialized, right? But we are not passing it. That's the reason why the compiler complaining about. So what you can do is, so when you put a bracket like that, the constructor will be coming like this: name, model, price. So where you have to pass all those things like name, Canon, model, and then price, right? Okay, so we have an object. So this is how we create an object for a class. So you put the name of the class, pass the parameters whatever required for that constructor, and then you just assign it to a constant or variable, however you want. So this my printer has an object or has a life of this particular class. So now what we can do, we can call this print message method, right? So my printer, in order to access the property or method inside a class, you will need dot operator. So my printer dot, you can access model, name, price, and then the method which are inside that particular class, like print message. So now I want to print something, so I will be calling this print message and then passing um, this message is printed using or printed by Canon printer. Okay, let's run this one. You see that? Right. So in order to print or in order to access the price or model or name of a particular class object, then as I told you earlier, we need the dot operator to access that, right? So for instance, let's say I want to print the name of this printer object. So print, I want to print the name of this printer object. So my printer dot name and run it. See, optional Canon. So this one is optional because it's a implicitly unwrapped optional one. That's the reason why it is coming like that. Okay, right. So this is how you create a class in Swift. Next, how to create a struct. We use a keyword called struct to declare a struct in Swift, and then the same, let's say scanner. So a scanner, again, it will have let name string, let model string, let string, right? So again, as I told you, this will these things has to be initialized, right? So let's write a constructor for this structure, struct, and then within that constructor we need to get all these three values, right? So name, string. So it doesn't mean that this parameter should match with this exactly this name or model. You can have however you want, like scanner name and then model and then float. And then here what you can do is you can just assign name equal to scanner name and model equal to scanner model and price equal to scanner price. So if you notice one thing here, I am not using that. Oh, sorry, the data type is wrong. I am not using this self here. The reason, because as I told you earlier, this property name is different and this one is different, so that like when you put a name, it directly accesses this one, and then this is scanner name, right? Whereas here, since both the parameter names are like the property name and the parameter name both are same, the compiler will get confused. That's the reason we are manually referring using self, right? So done. Now how to create an object for this struct? So the same how we did for class. Let my scanner equal to scanner, this one, the name should match, exactly match with this one. And if you notice here, s, which means it's a struct. So scanner, you have to pass these three things, right? So again pass Sony, and then 15,000, right? So again, a scanner will have a behavior called to scan, right? So func scan document or scan message string. So scan message is the method name, and then when you give a message to that scan message method, it will just scan it and then store it. So print message scanned. So this is how we create an object for the struct in Swift, and then to access the method or property in a struct the exact same way how we did for class. So my scanner dot scan message my document, and when you run that, message scanned. And then if you want to access the property inside this struct of that scanner, print my scanner dot name. So the value is Sony. So almost class and struct are literally same in Swift. There are few very important differences between these two, like when we should use struct and when we should use class, kind of those stuffs. But for this class this should be enough. In the upcoming class we will see all those differences. So I hope this session will help you to understand how to create struct and class. So if you like this video, kindly hit the like and subscribe button down this video. Thank you.